Welcome to A Cheese Press Ancient History, Book 1, Lesson 1. The first thing you'll notice is a vocabulary section. These are words that you will see for the first time in our text, and so you should familiarize yourself with them. Then there will be speculation questions that you should consider before you start the chapter. So let's get started. Understanding the Ancient Ages. History is split up into different eras, periods, ages, dynasties, etc. The use of these terms are dependent on country and region, though many of them may also overlap. For example, the Stone Age is a larger umbrella term that covers different eras nestled within the time period we will be discussing. The Stone Age is a predecessor to what is known as the Metal Ages. This may seem confusing since stone and metal both come out of the ground, but at the same time, stones and metals are classified as different compounds, and the process we use to turn them into tools is also different. None of this rambling truly matters, though, since no one writing this book is making significant historical or scientific distinctions. So, for future reference, the Stone Age is the pre-Metal Ages, but we're going to talk about them together. Back on topic, Metal Ages are delineations and changes of technology. We're currently discussing the Stone Age, but there are also the Bronze Age, Iron Age, and Copper Ages. The Stone Age houses three distinct periods: the Paleolithic, the Mesolithic, and the Neolithic periods. The Paleolithic period, aka the Old Stone Age, is the earliest chunk of the Stone Age, spanning from roughly 2.5 million years ago to 10,000 BCE. This chunk of history coincides with the earliest evidence of homogeneous activity. Technically, there are even smaller subcategories of the Paleolithic period: lower, middle, and upper. However, due to people doing different stuff in different places at different times, those aren't as well defined. The Mesolithic or Middle Stone Age doesn't show many technological advancements, but it does show adaptations in cultural regions. That sentence doesn't seem like it means anything, but here's the thing. The Mesolithic period happened after a significant amount of migration. This means that any advancements that were made during this time were being discovered apart from each other. This was a time of technique adaptation, cultural development, and diversity. The Neolithic period, or late Stone Age period, is all about further cultural development and stratification. This is when people were finally developing skills that allowed them to settle in a singular location and establish tribe-like settlements. Unlike the turn from the Paleolithic period to the Mesolithic period, the turn from the Mesolithic period to the Neolithic period is a pretty dramatic one. In fact, it was so dramatic that it was given a title, the Neolithic Revolution. The Copper Age, also known as the Chalcolithic Age, is a big name for an age that no one mentions more than they have to, and when they do, they generally don't call it that. The Copper Age is kind of a filler period between the end of the Neolithic period and the beginning of the Bronze Age, which happened around the mid 5th millennium BCE until either the late 4th or 3rd millennium BCE, depending upon region. The Bronze Age spans from approximately 3300 BCE to 1200 BCE, depending upon the geographical location. Behold, people have begun to work with metal. This is also the beginning of not only civilizations, but also organized government. There are several major Bronze Age civilizations, such as ancient Egypt, ancient China, Indus River Valley, Mycenaean Greece, not to be mistaken with ancient Greece, ancient Europe, and the Middle East. Keep in mind that each of these regions experienced the same advancements, but all at different times over the course of 2,000 years. The Iron Age is generally from 1200 BCE to 600 BCE once again, depending on where you are. Counterintuitively, the Iron Age didn't take off because of the advent of iron. It was not until people understood how to make alloys and turn iron into steel, which allowed them to make specific tools and weapons, that this age really started. The Iron Age brought widespread improvements to people's lives in terms of the tools they were using. Humans weren't extremely physically different from their predecessors. However, they were exponentially more effective. This age is all about the quality of the tools. Higher quality tools made doing hard jobs easier, impossible jobs possible, and every job faster. This then also freed up time that was previously spent just trying to survive for people to do pretty much anything else, which the vast majority of the population never had a chance to do before. Imagine suddenly, after having to spend all your time surviving, being able to pick up a hobby or just take a nap and not having it mean that you and your family would starve. These ages are the main way we talk about time in BCE. This doesn't cover all the different dynasties, periods, and eras that will pop up within the Metal Ages, but we'll be sure to talk about those as they come. To complicate this further, the time span between approximately 2.4 million BCE and 11,500 BCE was the last ice age. During this time, the climate would fluctuate abruptly. In fact, it did so approximately 25 times. These warming and cooling shifts occurred swiftly. And when we say swiftly, we mean over the course of a couple of decades, which is really quick for climate shifts. These shifts caused interesting migration patterns that we'll begin discussing in the future lessons. These conditions were not conducive to settlement, especially given the fact that people had yet to figure out or lacked capacity to understand agriculture at the time. So, early people lived in a hunter gatherer culture. Before we can completely move on from the Ice Age, we have to mention the land bridge theory. This theory, proposed in the 1950s by French missionary Fray Jose de Acosta, is the working theory on how people migrated to the Americas. The theory presumes that during this time, there were lower sea levels due to a lot of water being ice, which would have allowed people to walk from Asia to the Americas. In recent years, this theory has begun to be questioned and challenged more and more by new research. We will discuss this in upcoming lessons. That was the end of the history portion of Book 1, Chapter Achieve Press History. Following that, we move into the literature section. I'm not going to read that for you. It is literature, and you should read it. After that, there will be some contemplation questions at the end of the chapter that you should use to help you review ideas in the text. Until next time.